leaders who will take AI as an adaptive challenge and adapt their companies and themselves and not just follow the hype of, okay, AI can't be outsourced to technical leaders, but also own their responsibility will make the difference.
Charles, we're waiting to hear your comments.
Well, first of all,
thank you, Hyundai. Sorry.
Thank you, Hyundai, and everybody else. And I loved your visual, your first slide with the bridges between the two cities. I recognize the Brooklyn Bridge, and I think London Bridge was in there. And I grew up in London and New York, so it's a very special, heartfelt talk for me. But I come at it from a strictly, mostly revenue perspective. I didn't want to say strictly because there's a lot more than revenue, but that's my focus, working with businesses that are using AI in sales. And what I've noticed is that most businesses I talk to say they're using AI in sales. And what they really mean is they're using ChatGPT to generate emails. And I don't think that's a strategy. So it leads me to just talk about my company, Calavia. We work with companies in logistics, healthcare, wealth advisory, media, advertising. I noticed that some of my clients and friends are actually on this webinar. Welcome to you. To answer the question about the biggest shift in AI, I think what I'm seeing in talking to all my clients is that AI is shifting from being quietly used by individuals in organizations, and it's starting to become a strategy, an organizational strategy. Up until recently, I would say most AI use in businesses is employees as a side hustle. They're kind of logging into ChatGPT and hunting and pecking for answers and ideas. But all that good stuff that's going on is not getting leveraged across the organization. So I think that's an opportunity, and I think that's where we're headed. I saw a comment, Paul Hardman. I'm curious about, I think it was you who said leveraging AI, that the big guys are using AI and maybe dominating. I actually would love to challenge that thinking, Paul. I think it's the opposite. I think small SMEs, small mid-size enterprises, small mid-size businesses are actually, if you take advantage of AI, it's a leveler. It actually makes you much more competitive for the simple reason that AI provides you with answers that you would literally need big enterprise to provide. Like it's a force multiplier. It can level a lot of resources that the big guys are using. So I think providing you use it wisely and you're focused, AI in business can actually, in small business, can actually be competitive.
Can I support Charles with some numbers that we have, Susan?
Sure.
The most successful implementations that we also see in WSI in our 750 offices belongs to the medium to small sized companies.
This is a good time maybe to bring in Charles. How are most companies getting AI in sales wrong, and why is sales enablement no longer just a sales problem?
Nice setup there, Susan.
You're welcome.
I think the biggest problem, again, looking at it from a sales perspective, is that, and I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm being critical, but I'm really not. I think there's an opportunity here. I'm just seeing it. I'm just telling it as I see it. And that is that most of my clients are applying AI to a broken approach. The process that already exists is getting exacerbated by putting AI into it. And I'll give you some examples so you don't just take my word for it. So one example is that meaning a broken approach or a system that's kind of getting old school already, is getting mass marketing emails, flooding the zone with a ton of outreach. AI is helping you do that faster, quicker, in more volume. The analogy I use is that that's like handing a builder a whole bunch of power tools and they're building the house faster, but if they don't have the right blueprint, it's going to be a Frankenstein. So I think we need to really examine how are we applying AI in the right way, especially as it comes to sales. Companies are trying to qualify harder, faster. I still think, and I don't believe this is old school, I still think there is value in going through LinkedIn Navigator, for example, going through your contacts, people you trust, people who trust you, your inner circle, your current clients, your past clients, going to those people and being very thoughtful about when you engage in a prospecting discussion, in a buying discussion, that you're thoughtful and that you understand their business, how it shifted, how it's continuing to shift, the problems. That's time consuming. And that is something AI can help with. I use that all the time. I go to LinkedIn Navigator, I see people I want to connect with, and then I feed it into Calavia, which is our platform, and I ask a question like, how can I contribute to this person? Not how can I send 1,000 emails and hope that it's a numbers game. I'll get someone who raises their hand. That doesn't really happen. And even when it does, it's a very shallow conversation. It's like I send all this stuff out, I flood the zone. Someone said, yeah, I might be interested. What do you got? And the response is, I got nothing. Why? I don't know your business. I'm not sure what you need. So I think we need to really be thoughtful about how we can first help AI serve the mission and the purpose. And so I think that's one. And then lastly, what I think companies are getting wrong in AI, to your question, Susan, about sales and AI, is stop thinking about sales as the tip of the spear. That's old school. Old, old, old. That's dying. What I mean by tip of the spear is most companies still think today that marketing and sales is going to be the first place a buyer interacts with your organization. And what I'm seeing is that buyers have already done 70 to 80% of the work before they contact you. And so we don't need a seller or a marketer to wow me as a buyer and tell me what I don't know. I already know most of what you're going to tell me. What I want to know is how can we get into that final push that's going to get me across the line, that's going to make me decide to buy from you versus 10 other people I'm also 70% along with. Are you going to be the organization that's going to fill in that gap, or is it going to be somebody else? And therefore, you got to start involving operations, leadership, because that's where all the value and the knowledge and know-how is coming from. So my phrase is take buyers away from the tip of the spear and put them into the sphere of the organization, because that buyer is going to be interacting with a lot more than just an individual sales or marketing function.
Great. Thanks, Charles. Yeah, it'd be great if they would integrate so much of this communication of this new technology among the C-suite.
A lot of things in common are very complementary in that way.
Okay, excellent. Well, so do any of the panelists have anything else on this question? Because I would really like to jump to the attendees' questions.
I'd like to plant a seed question. That is, talk about the future, at least as I see it in sales. But this could be a broader question for the other panelists to jump in. And that is, I think AI right now, the model I see is it's following commands. It's a tool. But I think this is the first time, at least that I'm aware in human history, that it's not going to take long. It's almost there now, where that tool becomes our partner. And I have a very optimistic view of the future because I think, and maybe you'll agree or disagree, I'd be curious, that paranoia is human. Fear is human. The AI doesn't have paranoia. That's an advantage. That can teach us a lot because we worry about Russia and China and all the terrible things other people are going to do with AI. And my view is AI could teach us a thing or two. So the way I look at AI is it's morphing rapidly from being a tool to being a partner, and that's going to elevate our game. We as human beings are going to have to play an A game constantly. Our brains maybe have to rewire, and I think that's a good thing. And the reason I bring it back to sales is because I think when we develop a strategy hub, which we call a sales, which is a sales playbook, we're basically helping the AI coach us based on our own best practices. So we ourselves don't get in our own way. And I have to say that to me is one of the biggest issues I have with performance, human performance. We're our own worst enemy in many cases, especially salespeople. And I think AI can be a partner and something that can benefit us as opposed to something we should be afraid of.
Very insightful there, Charles.
The history after none of the innovation cycles, the prosperity has evolved is instantly. And yes, AI can help. AI I have no fear, and AI will help the business, international business as well. But it's not a naive person. AI is built by human, and sometimes I see in most of the comments that people want to position AI is the bad guy, but AI is not the bad guy. The bad guy is the bad guy. So that's why
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it brings integrity, Hyundai. So,
Exactly.
to answer your question really directly, Katie, I think the opportunity I see with international business is something that I think is lacking because it's so dominated by humans traditionally, and that is integrity. Like AI can put integrity into the system, meaning what is integrity, right? There's a set of rules. They're not violated. They're not one person dominated to take advantage of weaker people. So I really think that there is a lot of potential in AI learning. And this is my last comment on what I was saying, because I know I went down a rabbit hole. But I do believe that at some point, the positive outcome is AI will know the difference between right and wrong. And shame on us, there's a lot of human beings who don't know the difference between right and wrong, or at least they know what's wrong and they do it anyway.
Thank you, Charles. Really insightful.